Hi, my YouTube friends. Sandra from ForYourChi.com here, and I'm doing a special video. It's story time. Sometimes something so profound happens to me that I just have to share it with you all, and that's why I'm here. So that's what I'm going to do. Earlier in the fall, and as you know, if you've watched me for many years, I've said these things before. Oftentimes people get intuitive information when they're in the shower or the bathtub, and it has something to do with the water running. That's not typically where I get my information. What happens to me is I will get it as soon as I wake up, oftentimes. If a message needs to come through, I will get it in the morning. Now, it can be when I first wake up, 6 or 7 or 5 o'clock, but it can also be in the middle of the night. It can be at 2, I've had it at 2:30, 1:30, it just depends. About 2 months ago, well, let me tell you a backstory first. So my mother was diagnosed several years ago with Afib, and it progressively got worse and worse, and she had an episode about 2 months ago where she could not get out of bed the majority of the day. Now, my mother's a Capricorn, and if there's any sign who resents staying in bed all day, it's a Capricorn, because let's face it, they have shit to do. And some of that involves going outside and feeding barnyard animals. So nothing more to drive a Capricorn nuts than not being able to get out of bed. So, needless to say, that day she was saying prayers that her AFib would be resolved. And of course, she's been treating with her cardiologist, her medical doctor, who should be perfectly capable of treating something like this. But instead, what was happening, she was following the advice, medication, and a procedure, and it just kept getting worse. So, 2 days after that incident where she couldn't get out of bed, that was a Saturday. Monday morning, I get out of bed at 7 o'clock, maybe it was a little earlier, 6:30, and I get a message. And my messages come from my higher self. I know people say they get it from guides, but that's where mine comes from. I get this message. And it was loud. Go buy your mother anti-EMF devices. It will help with her AFib. And I thought, what? What did you just say? Anti-EMF devices? Now, I've seen these things advertised, but I've never actually bought one. I don't even know the source to go to get good ones. I mean, surely there's got to be some fake ones out there. So I wanted to research it a little further first. So I sent a group text to my sisters, one of which is a cardiac nurse and has been for 12 years. She's an RN. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know much about AFib because I was letting her deal with it because that's her arena. I have zero medical training whatsoever. I have no experience in any medical field. I have zero, not only credit hours in medical schooling, I have zero time hours in medical schooling. I did not go to school for medicine whatsoever. So I was letting the professional handle it. So I sent the group text to my sisters, and the other one works in the medical field, but she's not a nurse, so she knows more about things than I do. And I said, have you, either of you ever heard of EMF radiation causing or triggering AFib? No, they never heard of it. And I thought, okay, before I go out and buy a bunch of stuff, I'm just going to Google that and see if anything comes up. I Google it. I Google EMF causes AFib. The first thing that comes up, EMF to a certain number degree. Google's going to answer me from the other room. Okay, binge drinking causes AFib. Caffeine and illegal drugs, which my mother doesn't do. Okay, sorry about that. At any rate, she didn't say EMF. Let's move on. So, to a certain degree, it said, it was a decimal point. I don't even remember the number. You can look it up yourself. It can trigger AFib. And I thought, I'm here on the Google. Why can't anyone else figure out what may cause it so they can figure out how to stop it? Because if you ask a doctor or a nurse that works in this field, they will tell you, well, they don't really know what causes it. So, to my surprise, me going on there and it coming up first thing, I'm pretty shocked, right? So I go on Amazon and I buy just a random package, a multi-pack. And in the multi-pack, there were 2 necklaces. There were, pardon that interruption, it was the UPS man. Anyway, back to my mother and her AFib. So I get this multi-pack from Amazon. It contained 2 necklaces, 2 stones, all made of the same material. It's a white, shiny material. Not sure what it is, actually. To put in her purse or a pocket. They were very small. Something to plug in to your house that's supposed to deflect the bad EMF radiation. I believe 4 stickers for the back of your cell phone. And I'm trying to think if that, I think that was it. But, I have known through the years that shungite, Shungite, helps with EMF radiation. I don't know exactly what it does, if it repels it or if it absorbs it. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember my crystal lady from the crystal store, the last big purchase I made, she put a shungite in there for free, and it was a big one to fit in the palm of my hand. Now, what she said to do with it was to put it in a pocket. That's what she was telling her customers to do that were coming in there specifically for shungite. So I know that shungite repels or reflects. It helps with EMF radiation somehow. However, I could not tell my mother to put that in her pocket because she's older. She's a Capricorn ruled by the knees. They are prone to falling, as she is. So the last thing you want to do is give a person like that a big rock to put in their pocket where they could, God forbid, fall and hurt themselves even worse. So we couldn't do that. I ordered her a shungite pendant, and I have a bracelet that's on the way. So she was wearing the pendant. She was wearing all the other stuff that came in the package. And I also ordered her some clothing for Christmas, a shirt. You can buy a shirt with anti-EMF. And I got it from a company called Lambs, something Lambs. You'll be able to find it online if you Google Lambs anti-EMF clothing. So we're going to try the clothing. But all of this to say, since she has been wearing those items that I gave her, she had one minor episode. It's been 2 months now. She had one minor episode after being in a city area. She was in a meeting for about 6 hours. And in this area, they had just upgraded, guess what? The cell phone towers. So, so being in that environment for 6 hours was very unusual for her because she lives in a rural area. She's in the country with barnyard animals, as I suggested earlier. So getting her out of that environment immediately reversed, and it was a mild episode anyway. She was wearing all the garb that I gave her, so it did help. It is helping. We figured it out. I figured it out. Do I sound irritated? It's because I am. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm very, very ecstatic and grateful that the message could come through me and that I could fix this for my mother. However, I cannot get over the feeling of, why does it take a psychic to fix my mother's AFib? There are people that have gone to school for this. There are people that have spent countless hours doing this, doing that job. Why are they not able to fix AFib? I'm not saying that reducing everyone's EMF radiation intake is going to reverse their AFib. I have no idea. All I'm doing is sharing my mother's story and my story, and I'm certainly not blaming anyone else in the medical community, or my sister for that matter, because as my sister so correctly pointed out, they didn't teach that in school. So my next question is, why aren't they teaching that in school if I can Google it up and it comes up first thing? Does that make any sense to you? I know that I'm so Scorpio that I do all this woo-woo, and I'm a reader, and I've been a reader for almost 20 years now, 12 professionally, but I was reading for my family and friends before that, and they all know that when I say something, they're going to pay attention because it's probably accurate. But I feel like we have no standards for this medical community. We hold them accountable for zero, and it's a problem. We need to throw those people under the bus and hire some new ones, because this is another hole where the medical system is failing people. So, my humanitarian nature, I could not go another day without making this video and making it public. So please share this video with everyone that you know. If this information can help one person reduce or completely get rid of their AFib, then I have done my job here. Thanks so much, everyone.